Last week, we warned you about the digital ID. Well, tonight it gets darker. The Gates Foundation has developed microneedle patches that inject permanent quantum dots under your skin. These marks last 5 years minimum and glow under scanners. Without them, no grocery stores, no gyms, no travel. And the EU is now demanding Americans surrender fingerprints and biometrics just to visit Europe. Oracle's Larry Ellison openly bragging about total surveillance. Citizens will behave because we're constantly watching. Over in China, your digital ID score determines if you can leave your zone. RFK Jr. calls it enslavement. Jordan Peterson says it'll make 1984 look like a picnic. And for millions of believers, this is no longer metaphor. It's prophecy unfolding before our eyes. Has the mark of the beast arrived? And while elites plan to track your every move with skin implants, working families can't even afford basic necessities. 1 in 4 low-income households spend 15% of income on electricity. Soon, they'll demand you get marked just to buy groceries with money you don't have. That's why this device matters now. Minimizes dirty electricity, stabilizes current, helps slash bills before the technocracy takes over. Plug it in. Works instantly, protecting appliances, cutting costs. Get your $100 utility rebate certificate. 60% off at don'twastepower.com. While they build digital prisons, secure your home's independence. A 60-day guarantee. Resist their control. Start with energy freedom. Order at don'twastepower.com. Now, we brought this up last week. Revelation chapter 13, verse 16 and 17. Also, it causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, both free and slave, to be marked on the right hand or forehead, so that no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark, that is the name of the beast or the number of its name. That is a prophecy from the book of Revelation that I have been commanded by Christ to watch for. We've all been commanded. Now, what we just saw in the United Kingdom is that now they're going to be demanding a digital ID just to work. They claim it's to help identify all the people coming over, or the mass migration that they've opened their borders for. Yeah, that's the problem reaction solution situation. Now, here's a British ex-MP, Andrew Bridgen, says if you sign up for digital ID, you'll never be able to say no to the government again.
Do you think that digital ID and increasing bureaucratic control is going to be something that's going to rouse people's passions? Do you think that's something they care about? Do you think that that's something that the British people, for example, will take a stand against? Because it seems like Keir Starmer's going to try and reintroduce ID cards or sort of, biometric data. Firstly, why is it a problem? And do you think people care about it, Andrew?
Well, they should do. It's another thing that no one ever mentions in Parliament. All the parties are aligned with it. Agenda 2030, and that's why we're getting the uncontrolled migration. And they can only implement all the aspects of Agenda 2030 and its controls if they have digital ID. So if we can stop digital ID, it's very, very difficult to see how we can end up with a dystopian future, which I believe is in line for us.
I thought that Agenda 2030 was a conspiracy theory. Are you saying Agenda 2030 is a real thing?
It's a real thing, and if you look on the government's website, it says we remain aligned to Agenda 2030. But we never debated it in Parliament. No one ever talks about it. It's just there in the background, and all the policies are taking us that way. So if you sign up for digital ID, if you say yes to digital ID, I fear you'll never be able to say no to the government again. Digital ID will be a massive tool of control. It'll always be sold to you as it's for your own convenience and for your own security. And there's an old saying that if you're ever willing to trade your freedom for security, you'll end up with neither freedom nor security. And the only person it's going to be convenient for will be the government. And we will be like prisoners out on license, where we're tagged, and they'll know exactly where we are and what we're doing all the time. And if we give into this, Russell, future generations. It's not just about us, it's about future generations that will be condemned to that. They will never know the freedoms that they didn't have, and that can't be allowed to happen.
Do you think?
Oh, but what is it? Now, we played this last week, but it bears repeating because it illustrates the point so well.
Refusers, now, in the coming years, all shall receive the mark. The mark has already started in implication. Are we all aware of the mark? If not, please educate yourselves. In the mark of the beast, refusers of it shall not be able to buy or sell. They shall become beggars, cut out of the system, and that will be the pure delight. For they will be the wise. We brothers will never have the mark, for we will know that it really is control, and we cannot be controlled as we are the controllers. The mark will be the connection between AI, direct connections, free will, dependent on the algorithm. You see, at the moment, man has free will. It was given to him by God. That gives him the right to choose. Well, once we give him the mark, that free will belong to us. We will be able to track his movements, his body, his money. His decisions will be monitored 24/7. We will replace his God. A central computer that gathers all his data, from the smartphone to the mark. Now I will detail how all of you will slowly start to implement this technology. Now.
Sounds scary, doesn't it? But it's already happening in China. In China, designated zones are only accessed by people who live outside the zone, providing they have the correct social credit score tied to their digital ID. Don't behave in the way the Chinese government wants you to. Access denied. Coming to a Europe near you. Access denied. Chinese citizen trying to get into a zone. Access denied. Facial recognition. Imagine that. Oh, guess what? Your digital ID is preventing you access to the 15-minute city. What does RFK Jr. have to say about it?
What we're seeing today is what I call turnkey totalitarianism. They are putting in place all of these technological mechanisms for control we've never seen before. It's been the ambition of every totalitarian state from the beginning of mankind to control every aspect of behavior, of conduct, of thought, and to obliterate dissent. None of them have been able to do it. They didn't have the technological capacity. Today, the mechanisms are being put in place that will make it so none of us can run and none of us can hide. Within 5 years, we're going to see 415,000 low-orbit satellites. Bill Gates says his 65,000 satellites alone will be able to look at every square inch of the planet 24 hours a day. Digital currency that will allow them to punish us from a distance and cut off our food supply. Every right that you have is transformed into a privilege contingent upon your obedience to arbitrary government dictates. It will make you a slave. And what do we do about this? What do? We resist. I'm going to tell you 3 rules that you all need to know and memorize. Number 1, every power that government takes from us, it will never relinquish voluntarily. Number 2, every power they take from us they will ultimately abuse to the maximum extent possible. Number 3, nobody in history of the planet has ever complied their way out of totalitarian control. Every capitulation is a signal to the oppressors to impose new forms of torment or torture or compliance or obedience. Every time you comply, you get weaker. Bullies cannot be appeased. It just encourages them to new forms of torture and torment. Every time you say yes, you're getting pushed back to a weaker position. That's why we need to resist today. What we're seeing.
Man, I am so happy that RFK Jr. is a member of this administration with that mindset. That is a warning if I've ever heard one. Lily Tang Williams posted this 24 hours ago. Digital ID was the first step that China took. It's the foundation for their social credit system now adopted by the West. It is a surveillance state where one mistake can cost you your job, bank account, your family, and your freedom. Reject it today.
Those people have to be condemned. A good score brings benefits, but people with low scores lose.
Now, this is video from China. Heng Shui, China.
A good score brings benefits, but people with low scores lose rights. The cinema names and shames people considered untrustworthy, plastering their details, even their addresses, across big screens.
It's a matter of principle. Those people have to be condemned.
Those people aren't honest, so they have to pay the price.
It's only right to pay your debts. You have to blacklist those that don't.
The Supreme Court has created a blacklist for so-called bad citizens, those whose ratings have dropped to 0. On it are companies, but also 23 million people to date. Among them is this journalist, Liu Hu. He got a little too close to uncovering corruption among high-profile party members. After being sued for defamation by the subject of a story he'd written, he was blacklisted. But he only realized when he tried to buy a train ticket and was told he was banned from traveling.
That tells me I'm still on the blacklist.
Punished because he's been branded untrustworthy by the state.
You see that? Blacklisted by the state. He goes to buy a train ticket. Rejected. Just like that other Chinese woman trying to get inside that zone. Rejected. This is the world that they're painting for us all. The United Kingdom is happily rolling it out. RFK Jr. pushing back, telling us all, reject, do not comply. Because every time you comply, they will keep pushing and pushing and pushing. No totalitarian government ever took rights away and gave them back, ever.
Once you're blacklisted, you can no longer get a bank loan, start a business, buy an apartment, or even send your children to a private school.
Liu Hu is among a tiny minority of people who have dared to criticize the system, which some are calling a digital dictatorship.
I worry, because I think many people like me will be deprived of individual freedoms.
A good score brings benefits.
You already are. And that's what's happening right now in China. And in the European Union, they're announcing all Americans visiting nearly 30 countries, almost all in the EU, will be required to surrender fingerprints, biometric data, and your photograph, which will be stored by their government. They're now mandating Americans to surrender digital ID data.
On later visits. If you're planning a trip to Europe, you're going to have to hand over way more than your passport when you get there. As part of a new entry-exit system, visitors to most European countries will have to provide 4 fingerprints and a facial photo at a self-operated kiosk. The information will be stored for 3 years, with the photo being used for ID verification on later visits. Travelers who refuse to provide their biometric data will be denied entry. The goal of the program is to enhance security and speed up border crossings, it is said. The new system is set to be rolled out over 6 months, starting in October, and applies to 29 countries, including popular destinations like France, Italy, and Spain.
Wow.
If you're planning a trip to Europe, you're going to have to hand over...
whatever happened to the passport? Wasn't that good enough? Apparently not. Okay, coming soon, the Gates Foundation has developed microneedle patch implants that install both mRNA and permanent quantum dot markings into your body. They will function as biological passports requiring to enter grocery stores, restaurants, gyms, and travel. This is Nicholas Hulscher, epidemiologist and administrator of the McCullough Foundation.
Appears to be they are now pushing wearables on the population and starting with external wearables and then going into internal wearables in the future. We do know as well Gates Foundation funded what's called microneedle patch implants that install quantum dots in skin for about 5 years for use as vaccine passports. Again, this is on the National Library of Medicine website. So yeah, the plan appears to be going from external wearables, get them to wear that, and then you go into the internal wearables, these implants.
And think about that in the context of what RFK Jr. just revealed about Bill Gates' satellite systems, watching every single thing you do. Here is Jordan Peterson warns digital ID will usher in a tyrannical regime. DC Drano says, hell no. The digital ID in America is the equivalent of a firearm registry. They don't take your freedoms away immediately, but it's the first big step towards that ultimate goal.
Catches you jaywalk. If you have digitally verified ID, then you run into the problems of digitally verified ID, and they're running down that road in China now. So in China, for example, God, this is going to happen here, I think, too, although maybe people will fight it. If a traffic camera catches you jaywalking in China, okay, so the digital ID system has you. It has your blood now. It has your genetic code. It has your photograph. It can identify how you walk. So even if you can't see a face, you can be picked up by gait. It will convict you of jaywalking and take money out of your bank account with no intermediating judiciary at all, and show a picture of you to the people in the neighborhood so they know that you have jaywalked, and reduce your social credit score. And if your social credit score falls below a certain level, then you can't buy drinks from a vending machine. You can't play video games. You can't go on a train. You can't get out of your 15-minute city. All that's already in place in China.
Do you think that would be helpful or unhelpful?
It would be. I think it would bring in, and it has already in China. I think it'll bring in a totalitarian tyranny so 100% complete that it would make George Orwell's 1984 look like a picnic. If you have
that's where we're headed, but we're going to fight back. The man behind the digital ID push, Michael Schellenberger writes, the man behind the digital ID push is Larry Ellison, owner of Oracle, CBS, CNN, and soon TikTok. He wants data centralization and total surveillance. Quote, citizens will be on their best behavior because we're constantly watching and recording everything that is going on. Listen to this.
Some of them I know that
your body cams will be trans.
Okay, so this is Larry Ellison, and then he's
transmitting that. The police will be on their best behavior because we're constantly recording, watching and recording everything that's going on. Citizens will be on their best behavior because we're constantly recording and reporting everything that's going on.
When you come to government and what government's doing, there are artificial intelligence tools, and some of them I know that Oracle have developed around.
So this is Tony Blair, who also was pushing for a digital ID in Europe. This looks like it's the World Global Summit 2025.
Financial management for government, but also tell us a bit about what, because you're right at the forefront of this revolution, what it means for what government should do in terms of its digital infrastructure, digital ID, data centers, and so on.
How do you take advantage of
Look at the smile on his face when he's talking. Tony Blair, just selling tyranny with a smile. Good Lord.
because you're right at the forefront of this revolution, what it means for what government should do in terms of its digital infrastructure, digital ID, data centers, and so on.
How do you take advantage of these incredible AI models? And the first thing a country needs to do is to unify all of their data so it can be consumed and used by the AI model. You have to take all of your healthcare data, your diagnostic data, your electronic health records, your genomic data. And in the Middle East, in the UAE, for example, they're incredibly rich in data. They have a lot of population data. The NHS in the UK has an incredible amount of population data, but it's fragmented. It's not easily accessible by these AI models. We have to take all of this data we have in our country and move it into a single, if you will, unified data platform. So we provide context. When we want to ask a question, we've provided that AI model with all the data they need to understand our country. So that's the big step. That's kind of the missing link. We need to unify all of the national data, put it into a database where it's easily consumable by the AI model, and then ask whatever question you like.
So you're really, through the use of this, you're revolutionizing the way government works, right? The services it provides, the way that it operates. What about things like financial management, procurement? How can AI help a government operate more efficiently, more effectively, give a more direct and better service to the citizen?
Well, we have these modern financial systems. So, countries can, and all. For example, the AI system will help you do that. But again, the secret is to get all of that data in one place. Without having the basic data, it cannot answer the question about your country.
Centralizing all the data into a global AI system so it can be easily queried about anyone, anytime. This is what they're talking about openly at the World Government Summit 2025 this year.
I think countries are very uncomfortable with keeping their data in other countries' data centers. So I think part of our essential infrastructure, just like airports obviously need to be in our country, or they're not terribly useful. Ports need to be in our country, and they're not terribly useful. Data centers, because of the privacy requirements around the data, need to be in our countries, or they're not terribly useful. They need to be in our countries, but they also need to be secure. And there are new technologies right now. This is the last year you will ever log on to an Oracle system with a password. Next, by the middle of this year, I'm quite certain you are Tony Blair. So how do I know? Well, I look at you, I hear your voice, I listen to the kind of questions you ask. I'm pretty sure you're not synthetically created in having this conversation. The security system, we have biometric logins. The computer recognizes you. It recognizes your voice. It might ask you to put your index finger on the return key. And we're absolutely certain it's you. There's no reason to enter a password. In fact, passwords are too easily stolen. Data centers and data is being taken hostage all over the world. The ransomware business is a very, very good business. It's getting bigger and better every year. We tend not to talk about it because the American FBI has a simple advice to someone whose data has been ransomed. Just pay them because there's nothing we can do about it. But there is something we can do about it, not after the data is stolen, but before the data is stolen. We can make sure that we're using the latest security technology, and it is going to be biometrics assisted by AI to make sure that you are in fact Tony Blair, and I'm sure you are. Now, I would love to live to be 150 years old.
Well, there's an amazing opportunity to reimagine the state, the way that government functions, and the service that it can provide for its citizens.
Your body.
Yeah, this is all about providing services for the citizens, right?
Please educate yourselves. In the mark of the beast, refusers of it shall not be able to buy or sell. They shall become beggars, cut out of the system, and that will be the pure delight. For they will be the wise. We brothers will never have the mark, for we will know that it really is control. And we can.
My favorite, though?
Technological mechanisms for control. We've never seen before. It's been the ambition of every totalitarian state from the beginning of mankind to control every aspect of behavior, of conduct, of thought, and to obliterate dissent. None of them have been able to do it. They didn't have the technological capacity. Today, the mechanisms are being put in place that will make it so none of us can run and none of us can hide.
If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. So this is the line in the sand. When government demands you accept permanent marks in your skin to buy food, we've entered biblical territory. The Gates Foundation's quantum dots aren't theories. They are patented and funded. And they're ready. Nicholas Hulscher exposed the documents. They last 5 years, maybe forever. Without them, you're locked out of society. Larry Ellison isn't hiding his vision. Total surveillance where citizens behave because we're constantly watching. The EU already demands biometrics from Americans. China's social credit zones are the beta tests. Andrew Bridgen warned if you accept digital ID, you'll never say no to government again. RFK Jr. called it what it is, enslavement. So here's my question. Is this the actual mark of the beast from Revelation? Yes or no? Tell me in the comments. This isn't politics anymore. It's prophecy versus freedom. Time to choose sides. And if you want to support our work here, check out our merch shop. It's linked down below where you can wear your resistance with pride.